Welcome to the BBC News at 10, our top headlines. And Birmingham set out his plans for social care put on a country. They can he set out his plans to help vulnerable older people. He also visited a care home in North London today. We talk about what he's planning and how it will affect care home staff and care home sectors across England, and we'll be speaking to Chris Mason, our political editor. Chris. It's good evening, and I'm in Westminster, where we are getting plenty of reaction to what Andy Burnham has said in North London today. His speech about adult social care up and down the country. He even talked about his dad having dementia. I'll have updates throughout the programme. Also tonight, it's been confirmed that droughts that happened 8 parts of England have been confirmed of having droughts, as it was the warmest July on record. Also, we go inside Rob Bush's funeral home in Hull as they continue the case. Also tonight, BBC Cuts massive shows including Brexit Black and MasterChef. Also tonight, the FIFA president has announced something that could set the World Cup issue when people gather for the movie premiere of the new Spider-Man installment, Brand New Day, with Tom Holland and Sienna. And we'll have the weather with Sarah Keith Lucas, and also we'll be joining Philip Larkey with Look North and Hannah Davidson with BBC London. Guys, good evening, Keegan. Welcome to Look North. We'll have on the programme more about Rob Bush's funeral home and how long he'll be in prison for. We'll speak to a couple of friends of Rob. Also, that's happening across Scunthorpe, Hull, and the rest of North Lincolnshire. We'll have latest, and on BBC London we'll have more on the heatwave and drought on BBC London. So welcome to the BBC News at 10. We'll be joining Philip and Hannah in the next 40 minutes. We'll start off the programme. Andy Burnham gave a speech as he set out his plans for adult social care for people up and down England tonight. He set out his plans to help sectors up and down the country. He also talked about his dad having dementia, and he has gone through a hard 4 years of his life. He also visited the care home in North London today, speaking to some residents, as not a lot of people have met Andy Burnham yet and don't know what he's like as a person. We can go live to our political editor, Chris Mason. Chris, a very good evening. A very good evening to you, Keegan. Welcome to Westminster, where I have been following the story all day. Unfortunately, I did not attend the speech this morning, but like I said, he was talking about social care and what he plans to do with the sector. The new Prime Minister Andy Burnham has pledged to find a solid to take the pressure off the country's struggles social care system. But it talked like you were saying, he's been talking more about what he plans and what he thinks that could do for older people of the most vulnerable across the UK. And you can see it in my 3-minute report. Take a look. That was Chris's part. We'll go back to Chris. We'll go back to Chris in a minute and discuss about the Benham's plans and for social care, but I just want to listen to part of his speech.
People, if they're kind of left without that support that they need. In fact, it does break people, and that needs to be recognised. It needs to be recognised that people can see everything they've worked for wiped out by the costs of care. Hundreds of thousands of pounds can just disappear paying for care. Adults with disabilities will say that they face very unfair care charges just to live their life. That needs to be recognised. And let me come back to the staff doing what they do on poverty pay. I've been made aware of somebody homeless working in a care setting, living out of a mobile home. Just again, think about that. How can we enable those staff to give a real sense of security to the people they're looking after if they do not have it in their own lives? And it makes what they do all the more remarkable that they do care in the way that they do. But we cannot take them for granted, and we must not do that. So it's bad for everybody in this, but it's also bad for the National Health Service. And let me just say something about that. Again, I've had experience in the system as it currently is, which is trying to give out care in 15-minute slots, because honestly, that's all that councils say that they can afford for many people. It's fine if the needs are moderate and you can complete the task within that time slot, but what if they're not? What if the needs become moderate or severe and you try and carry out everything within 15 minutes? I can tell you from experience that that can be a recipe for quite significant chaos if you are not careful. And it leaves the staff in a really difficult position, because often what they are told, if they have a problem and they can't complete what they're doing, ring 999. Ring 999. And I heard a few kind of yeses in the audience and a few nods. I know, and I'm saying this, there'll be people watching who know what I'm talking about. That can be a really frightening experience, because it often isn't the case that that person needs hospitalisation. In fact, you could say it's the worst place for them to end up. But once that process is underway, it's very difficult to stop the drag of the system into hospital and then everything that comes from that. That's bad for the NHS too and the staff who work there. It's a lose-lose situation, because often people then spend a long time in A&E, a long time in hospital, but then fit to be discharged and can't be discharged. It just is a pressure that the NHS struggles to meet. And look at it in the numbers. Today, or on the latest figures, about 6 million people, just there or thereabouts, over 65, are going to A&E every year. Now, some of those will be from social care settings. If you go back to 2010, it was about half, roughly 3 million. So you can see that change in that period. Last month, 13,600 people were deemed medically fit to be discharged, but couldn't be. That was in an average across the month in England. 3,000 people every single day receiving corridor care. Corridor care. The trade unions now are monitoring corridor care. Do you remember there was a time when that was what you called the winter pressures? Well, these are year-round now, and staff in the NHS are trying to deal with those pressures every single day. And there's growing talk of burnout amongst NHS staff, because the pressure they are trying to deal with is simply too great. And it's not sustainable. If you think about all of those things, then you know the NHS cannot carry on in that position. And let's not have a conversation about social care as though it lives in its own silo. It doesn't live in its own silo. It's intrinsically linked to the National Health Service and what happens there. When I left office as Health Secretary, wasn't all my doing, but 98% of people there or thereabouts were going through A&E within 4 hours. If you look at that figure today, it's about 75%. And there is just no way that we can restore the NHS to the standards that we would all want to see without fixing this issue. We can't do it. So we need to face up to it with a new determination. We need to bring our best game to this and not the sort of stock in trade of Westminster, business as usual, and just finding a reason to score points rather than actually face up to what's involved here, given that it involves so many vulnerable people, so many underpaid staff, and so many under pressure people in our National Health Service. We need to bring the best of us to solving this issue because it affects all of us in one way or another. So that brings me then to what I want to announce today. 3 announcements, and you've already got a flavour of some of them, but this is what I've decided to do coming into office to bring things forward. The first thing is to ask Baroness Casey Louise to bring forward her review by a year. So working with Yvette and with Angela and other colleagues, we want to expedite that review. We ideally want to do it even sooner, but we've got to be realistic. But if we say a year from now that we have that independent review, then I think we can rise to this challenge with the urgency it requires. So that's the first announcement. And let me also just say something about what I want that review to address.
I'll come back tomorrow with that.
Android tablets. I've just picked these up. 4 of these have probably cost.
Downstairs. Remember, we're downstairs now in the lounge. We're going to do our exercise. Are you ready?
Kay has always loved to sing, but dementia is gradually eroding her ability to care for herself.
Are you singing again? We're having a little rest.
Luckily, she has her family to support her.
We take her to church. She goes to the day centre. She goes to music group. She does music at home.
But it takes its toll emotionally and financially.
If you want care at home and you're paying for care, it's very expensive. The worries are that financially, will we have enough money to pay for her care? So it's a stress for me because hopefully I'll be here for many more years, but my finances are dwindling and nobody obviously pays me.
Nice to meet you. How are you? Andy. I'm Andy.
This morning, the Prime Minister visited a care home in North London.
You are the local candidate, are you?
Oh, no, I was a local candidate.
Though some are still unfamiliar with our new leader.
No, I'm now the Prime Minister.
You what?
is the Prime Minister.
Well, a new one.
Another one.
But I keep changing every time.
I know.
Andy Burnham, whose dad has dementia, is pledging to fix our social care system, speeding up an ongoing review, improving staff pay and training, and holding cross-party talks.
It's a major dereliction of public duty that Parliament has not faced up to this, of all challenges, something so fundamental. I'm going to stick this out. And why am I going to do it? Why am I going to do all of those things for my dad and the millions like him up and down the country? Thank you very much.
Yesterday, we broadcast allegations of abuse and neglect of disabled people at one care company.
ITV News has revealed some shocking failures in social care. You saw that in our report that was broadcast just last night. Can the government realistically transform social care without raising taxes?
I'm pleased that ITV has exposed some of that poor practice in recent days. Is it possible? I think more is possible from within existing resources. But I think some of what...
His proposal to reform social care. He held talks with the Tories and the Lib Dems, but other major parties were not invited. Now, funding of any such plan is likely to be a major issue. Our UK editor Paul Brand is here to look into what are likely to be the options and the priorities. Paul.
Yeah, Mary, this isn't the first attempt to reform social care. In fact, we've been here 22 times before in the last 3 decades. Andy Burnham says he would never forgive himself if he failed again because of the unfairness of the current system. At the moment, people pay for their care if they have more than £23,250 in assets. Below that, they begin to get local authority funding. Many have to sell their homes to pay for their care, of course. Others rely on family members, as we've seen. There are 5.8 million unpaid carers in the UK. These are some of the past attempts to reform the system that the Prime Minister could revive. First of all, his own idea in 2009, a 10% tax on all estates after death, which would replace inheritance tax on the more wealthy. His speeches back then did sound somewhat familiar.
It is important that we do not flinch from this debate. A failure to act would mean a future of increasing pressure on services, a decline in the quality of care we can offer the most vulnerable.
Well, that idea would raise the required £18 billion for a new national care service, meaning care would be free at the point of use. But that idea was dubbed a death tax and helped cost Labour the 2010 election. Since then, other governments have had a go. Remember Theresa May in 2017 during that election campaign, saying that people should only pay once they had less than £100,000 in assets. But that was dubbed the dementia tax, which she quickly watered down without ever admitting it.
Nothing has changed. We are offering a long-term solution for the sustainability of social care for the future.
Her successor, Boris Johnson, had a different solution, boosting funding through a new health and social care levy, 1.25 percentage points on national insurance. That was later scrapped, though, despite similar optimism when he entered number 10.
I am announcing now on the steps of Downing Street that we will fix the crisis in social care once and for all.
So look, we don't know which model the new Prime Minister favours yet. He said today the sector could do more with the money it has, but also hinted at difficult decisions, possibly code for new taxes. If we really are, Mary, to value care more, then I think the reality, though, is that we are going to have to pay more for it too.
Paul, just to take you on to another step on this, the Prime Minister is saying that
is, you know, a prime... Minister in a hurry to bring people together to solve some of the challenges that we face. He's radical and responsible about it. He's impatient because he feels the frustration of the country. In the by-election in Makerfield, he heard the frustrations, but he also saw the opportunities that community has for themselves. But they want a government that meets their ambition. People want to roll up their sleeves. They want to change the country for the better. They want to know how they can contribute to that, and I think Andy's been showing as Prime Minister he wants to support them, enable them and empower them to be able to live more fulfilling lives. And he's done that with young people. He's now saying that how we look after our older generation is a sign of what type of country we want to be.
He's also brought you back into government after your detour courtesy of some tax issues. Did you do a deal with him to stay loyal to him in return for a decent job? And how long will you stay loyal to him if these things go wrong?
There was no deals done. I mean, I'm inspired by what the Prime Minister is saying. As I said at the start of this interview, I was emotional. I waited a long time to hear a Prime Minister who gets the challenges from when I was a care worker all the way through, has been trying to deliver for the people that I have the honour to represent. And of course I want to play my role in that, and I'll continue to do that, because I believe that we've got a real opportunity to see some of these challenges and to really make a difference. He is, a Prime Minister in a hurry to...
Should be, yes.
And Jeff. Are to secure the dignity they deserve.
And Catherine is in Westminster for us now. Catherine, the Prime Minister also had something to say about the assisted dying debate. What was it?
Yes, for the first time he made an intervention here. He addressed the topic of assisted dying in England and Wales. He said consideration of that debate should only take place once palliative care and social care were fixed. Now, that is a big departure from Keir Starmer, who, as you know, personally supported assisted dying. And there is going to be another attempt to bring it back into the House of Commons in September. But it's worth noting that just as assisted dying has moved at different stages in different parts of the UK, when Andy Burnham is talking about having a big conversation about social care, he is talking about England. In Scotland, there is free personal care for the elderly and for those who are eligible. I looked that up. Introducing this in England would cost £7.8 billion. It's a choice. Maybe it's a choice you'll make. Scotland tried to introduce a national care service. Those plans were only abandoned last year after opposition from politicians, councils and trade unions. Meanwhile, in Northern Ireland, though, health and social care are integrated into a public system. So the Prime Minister, as he goes through discussions in the next months, may want to look to other parts of the UK for inspiration, yes, but for lessons too, in what can go wrong.
Catherine, thanks very much indeed. Well, earlier I spoke to the Housing, Communities and Local Government Secretary, Angela Rayner, and began by asking her for more details on Andy Burnham's ambitious plans to finally fix social care.
Well, I've waited a very long time from when I was a carer 27 years ago to hear a Prime Minister speak directly to the nation about the challenge that we have in social care. And the frustration for me is that it always comes back to, tax, but actually there's a huge amount of money that's in the system where people are on hospital trolleys or they're waiting to get out of hospital because they don't have the care in the community. And as someone who started off in that sector, I know carers do a huge, incredibly valuable job, but they're not recognised for that. So we started the work on fair pay agreements and the Employment Rights Act that I spearheaded previously.
I mean, I hate to bring it back to tax, but it will involve funds from somewhere. And, when Andy Burnham tried to reform social care in 2009 with a flat tax, it was labelled the death tax. When Theresa May tried to fix social care as one of her signature issues with a tax, it was called the dementia tax. I mean, the road to social care reform is littered with political bodies from both parties, including our current Prime Minister.
Well, again, this is why the Prime Minister has said we need to come together and not play politics with it. He acknowledged not to bring it right next to an election so it doesn't become a political football, and that to genuinely put the people who need the care, our loved ones, right at the heart of the policy making. The Prime Minister talked about ending the profiteering as well. So really delivering care in the community that people need will save money but deliver better care for people. And I welcome that emphasis, and I welcome the emphasis from the Prime Minister of reaching out across the political divide and into people's living rooms and saying, I want you to be part of that conversation.
But if he really wants to have a national conversation and he's reaching out across the political divide, why didn't he invite the SNP or the Greens or the Reform Party to this summit, which is supposed to bring the nation together on this issue?
Well, look, both the leader of the Liberal Democrats and the leader of the Conservatives have wrote to the Prime Minister. He's been in office, this is his 10th day, and he started that conversation. You know, we will reach across the political divide. I'm certainly willing to speak to any member of Parliament who wants to talk about this, and I think the Prime Minister was really clear on having that national conversation to take it out of the politics, the party politics, and actually talk about what do we want to see a national care service deliver.
But local authorities will tell you that the funds they have at the moment are simply not enough to deal with social care. It's killing them on the local level. So something has to be done on the national level. And again, I wonder if, because the Prime Minister hinted at possible tax increases in his speech today, is that what's going to happen? You know, will there be tax increases, or would you rule them out?
Well, again, the Prime Minister said that he's sticking within the promises that we made at the manifesto. We need a system that can respond to people's needs instead of actually shunting it into the NHS, where people often end up stuck there and they can't get back out into the community quick enough, and that again costs more money, and it's not right for people who need that care, and often they don't want to go through that process.
Just in terms of the last, 8 days since you've been in office, I mean, almost every day there's a signature, massive signature policy announced. We had NEET yesterday, the ending the early release program at the end of last week. I mean, are you setting yourself up with these extraordinary ambitions for failure if you don't manage to deliver?
No, I don't. I think that, Andy's had a lot of time in politics. He's taken on the thorny issues, and a lot of them are knitted together and intertwined. Yesterday, we were talking about not in education, employment and training and opportunities for young people. We've got vacancies in the care sector, so lifting and recognising the skills that carers have and then creating a pathway where young people can see that as a career for them is a way of solving both of those challenges that we face.
He's also brought you back into government after your detour courtesy of some tax issues. Did you do a deal with him to stay loyal to him in return for a decent job?
There was no deals done. I mean, I'm inspired by what the Prime Minister is saying. So I believe that we've got a real opportunity to see some of these challenges and to really make a difference, and I'm willing to roll up my sleeves and work with Andy, work with the different political parties and our communities and countries.
Angela Rayner, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, how is social care paid for in other countries?
So we'll have more on that. We'll go back to Chris a bit later on. It's had to go. Next night, it's been confirmed that a part of UK are now currently been confirmed to be in drought because this is the hottest month of this year. Only 7% of rain has fallen in July. 93% has been warm and infinity weather hitting the UK. When it comes after wildfires broke out in France and Spain, we've been reporting about that in the last 5 to 6 days about issues there with people evacuated, people dying, fires across the capital. Another heatwave has begun. Temperatures could reach as high as 35.5 degrees. Here's our environment correspondent with this story. Helen Watson has this story. speaking to BBC representative Ben Richard in just 1 moment.
The Green Party leader, Zach Polanski, for reposting a photo online of a man wearing a T-shirt with an image of a guillotine and the slogan, "We're only making..."
It's just a very mentally draining process, everything.
Leader Zach Polanski for reposting a photo online of a man wearing a T-shirt with an image of a guillotine and the slogan, "We're only making plans for Nigel." Our political correspondent Nick Eardley is with me. This story has been rumbling for a few days. Just explain what happened here and what's happened tonight.
Yeah, it was shared on Zach Polanski's account at the weekend. He said it was done inadvertently, and when someone flagged the offensive image to him, it was taken down. But Reform reported it to the police and said Nigel Farage said that Mr Polanski should be arrested. The Met have been looking into this, and they've said tonight no further action. They say they reviewed the post and they don't think it meets the threshold for criminal action. The Met did think the wearing of the T-shirt itself should have been recorded as a crime, but that's not a decision for them, it's a decision for Avon and Somerset Police, because the event where this T-shirt was worn was in Bristol, which is their jurisdiction. Avon and Somerset Police said tonight, no, they don't think that that constituted a crime either. So no further action in either case. The Greens say tonight it was clear from the start that there was no crime. Reform say this is an example of what they call two-tier policing, and in their words, Mr Polanski is being allowed to get with inciting murder.
Nick, thank you, Nick Eardley. A British woman whose body was found in a suitcase in Athens last week has been identified as Elizabeth Jane. Regions of England affected. Bordeaux from wildfires by air and on the ground.
Police released footage showing the moment officers stepped inside the premises of disgraced funeral director Robert Bush as his sentencing hearing continues. That and the rest of the day's news from us in about half an hour.
Hello, welcome to the BBC News at 10. Drought has been declared by the Environment Agency across more than half of England after successive heat waves. It follows North Wales and the Upper Severn River Basin entering drought conditions last week. Scotland monitors water scarcity rather than declaring drought. Some parts of eastern Scotland are in the most extreme category of significant scarcity. There are 7 regions of England affected by today's announcement, covering large parts of the centre, east and south of the country. Our climate editor Justin Rolatz reports now from Writtle in Essex.
You don't have to be an expert to see the effect this drought is having. The ground here outside Chelmsford in Essex, it topped 35 degrees here today, has been baked hard. Vegetation is tinder dry, but across much of England and parts of Wales, the picture is the same, and it's easy to understand why. England has received just 4.4 millimetres of rain so far in July. That's what? About that much rain, one of the lowest monthly totals on record. It matches June 1925 and is beaten only by, wait for it, February 1891 when 3.3 millimetres was measured. That is about 7% of the total expected for the month. And southern England has been even drier, just 1% of the total expected for July. And of course, it's been exceptionally hot too. 23 million people in England are already subject to hosepipe bans, and the Environment Agency is warning rivers are running increasingly low and the risk of wildfires is rising, and the dry weather is hitting food production too. So hold on, this is a crop. I thought this was stubble.
Yeah, no, this is our main first-year grass crop, which is destined for places like Newmarket racehorses.
So top quality feed for racehorses. How high would it normally be?
Well, we'd normally be up here, at least here for the first year, second cut. And as you can see quite clearly, we're not going to get a cut at all off of this.
So how bad a year has it been for you?
The grass has been quite disastrous. And it looks
This is the worst in how many years?
Worst I can ever remember.
This is the worst year?
Since 76.
In 50 years?
Yeah.
So I wish to spend just a second about this situation, about droughts.
Five streamers, one subscription for £24 a month.
Welcome back now. Last Monday we watched on as Andy Burnham took on the biggest job in the UK, becoming the 7th Prime Minister in 10 days last decade.
Morning, Arsene. Morning, Dermot.
Good to have you with
It's
us,
been
Andy.
10 days in...
Last decade.
And after 10 days in the job, Andy Burnham is joining us on the sofa. Good morning,
Morning,
Mr.
Prime Minister.
Morning, Arsene. Morning, Dermot.
Good to have you with us,
It's
Andy.
been 10 days in the job so far. How are you getting on, first of all? And is it harder than you thought it was going to be?
It comes at you, there's so much to take on, but the way I've decided to do it is just to be myself. I don't think you can do it in any other way. If you're going to try and step up.
Take a look at this. September of bookings.
It's set to be the driest on
Half of England is tonight in the grip of a phenomenon known as flash drought. After the summer's record low rain and high temperatures, this July is set to be the driest on record, with England seeing just 7% of the expected rainfall for this time of year. Southern England has seen just 1%. From Cornwall to East Anglia, large parts of the South and Midlands are now under official drought status. Well, Olivia Guthrie is at Home Fen Nature Reserve in Cambridgeshire for us. Olivia, the extreme heat, the dry weather have caused peat fires, haven't they, which are still burning where you are today?
Indeed, Mary, the wildfire here at Home Fen has been burning since Monday, and firefighters are still battling to keep it under control, with warnings today that those wildfires that we've seen in Europe could now be a real threat to the UK as well. It might look like it's over, but firefighters believe this blaze is still burning underground. The stench of smoke still hangs in the air. One of more than 700 wildfires in England and Wales so far this year, a large section of Home Fen has been decimated.
It'll probably continue to burn for the next 2 or 3 days. Hopefully by the weekend we'll have it out. It's confined to a spot, so we are at the stage where we're damping down and turning the peat over. It's a lot of hard work in hot heat, but they're a good bunch and they're working hard. They're used to it.
Police believe that this fire was started deliberately, with the Environment Agency saying that half of England is now in drought after record low levels of rain and record high heat. In this fourth heat wave, the Met Office is warning that any future wildfires, accidental or otherwise, could be exceptionally severe. Fire chiefs say recent wildfires like those in the Cairngorms, Derbyshire, Kent and Wales show that dry, hot weather makes fire spread quickly. There are currently 8 live wildfires across the UK.
We know how devastating it has been in Europe, and I do know that the government is making all the necessary arrangements and provisions to make sure that we are able to respond to wildfires if they occur. I understand the chance is not as significant as it is in parts of Europe, but that can change.
In Wales, the drought is already a week old. Farmers now struggling with low yields.
Normally, most years we harvest about 1,000 tonne of corn to sell. This year, I think we had about 700 tonne. So at £180 a tonne is what we sold most of the corn for. We are down £54,000 in revenue this year.
Officials say today's 35-degree highs will bring a rise in deaths among older people and those with health conditions. And as firefighters continue to work to contain the wildfires, the Met Office says these extreme temperatures exacerbating them are now the new normal. Olivia Guthrie, ITV News, Home Fen.
A 7-year-old boy died in hospital today after being pulled from the water at West Mersey Beach in Essex last Wednesday. Musa Ahmed's aunt and 15-year-old cousin died trying to rescue him after he was swept out to sea by a strong tide. Witnesses who tried to help the family said there should be clearer signs warning swimmers that the water can be dangerous.
We can speak to Ben now about this situation, and Ben, it doesn't look promising, does it? I mean,
this morning, and it came from the other side, and you can see its rim sort of moving slowly towards us. The wind is quite slow at the moment, but firefighters tell us if it picks up, this could be a real problem for them. We're not even at the hottest part of the day yet.
We were told this area would be engulfed by the afternoon.
Le risque, il a tendance à monter vers le nord de la France.
The risk is moving north, and so already regions of France that weren't previously affected by this kind of fire.
We're on our way into the centre of a wildfire, driving into the forest near Lège Cap Ferret, under the wing of Marseille's marine firefighters.
We've been told that this fire started about 12 hours ago, so...
And it's played by Keegan Wen. This is the hottest month on record, and people, it's having a massive effect on farmers growing crops because they need.
When Robert Bush arrived here at court on Monday,
The quickest way from a billion points of data to a point of view. SAS Via.
I was shocked to see my wife get back in shape with the 28-day chair yoga challenge.
It's in my legs so much.
And of course we need water for that to happen, and fortunately water is not for protein, it's not going to help this dry situation. It's been 7 parts, 8 parts of the UK are now under a drought warning because only 7%, this month only 7% has been rainfall. That's a massive issue and needs to be solved. Okay, BBC Weather reporter Ben Richard there, Ben I think it next. Funeral director Robert Bush has new evidence has come to light as he prepares to be sentenced on Friday. Take a look at this.
This is the reality of a funeral home where the remains of 35 people were found. For the first time, this police footage shows us inside the building where so-called monster funeral director Robert Bush committed his crimes. He prevented lawful burial and committed fraud by failing to properly care and return ashes to families.
you said sorry to say to the families.
At each court appearance, Robert Bush has covered his face, but now new footage lets us watch exactly how Bush reacted when he was arrested.
I've never given ashes back to burn ashes.
And grilled by police. This is how a criminal enterprise that disregarded basic human dignity was finally stopped. Here's the moment back in March 2024 when police officers stormed the plane after it touched down at Heathrow Airport.
Do you have anything in the overhead cabins as well? Yeah.
After he landed from the US, police arrested Robert Bush on suspicion of prevention of a lawful and decent burial fraud by false representation and fraud by abuse of position. It's because while Bush was out of the country, they had been investigating his company, Legacy Independent Funeral Directors, after being contacted about potential wrongdoing. They'd got into the Legacy building, and this is what they found. But beyond the disorder, the mess and the grime, the disregarded family donations, police discovered human remains. Boxes of ashes linked to as many as 163 families.
Next, to FIFA. The president has announced that UEFA will serving every FIFA plans to sell state and for World Cup. Gianni Infantino is trying to sell his World Cup sell-off. Plans to FIFA members nations offer them huge sums of money despite a growing back as FIFA Plus has given the organisation 211 members insurance 53 days to sign up to his plan. If they do, he says they each will get up to 40 million. To take a look at this devastating report on this issue tonight.
To celebrate.
Gianni Infantino knows how to hand over the biggest prize in football. The FIFA boss has made an art of cultivating close relations with Donald Trump. Who else would dare try and nudge the president out of the spotlight?
Rodri says
you're part of the FIFA team.
Their coziness brought him widespread criticism during the World Cup, but it also helped make it the most profitable on record. So profitable it seems that Infantino has quietly been cooking up a plan to rake in even more from future tournaments by spinning off FIFA's events, mainly the World Cup, into a private company and selling a chunk of it to investors. FIFA claims it's all about the democratisation of football, but it's plainly also about money. Given FIFA says the commercial rights for everything, broadcast like this, the extravagant closing ceremony of the World Cup, and sponsorship, ticketing, licensing and delivery of tournaments will all be up for sale. And look who's leading the charge. One Joshua Kushner, brother of Trump's son-in-law Jared, whose investment vehicle, Thrive Eternal, will take the first stake and help bring in other investors. Cue utter outrage from FIFA's biggest and richest members who knew nothing of Infantino's plan, which includes an immediate $20 million handout to every individual member. So why the anger? Well, because FIFA is a non-profit made up of 211 nations grouped by continents. The European bloc, UEFA, is the star player, winning the most World Cups and making by far the most money out of the sport. It's opposed the deal, which would dilute its influence, saying the soul and governance of football are not assets to trade, especially with zero transparency as to who gains financially. South and North America have World Cup winners too, but also many smaller nations who would gain financially from the proposal. North America's Football Union says it's deeply concerned by the lack of due process, but stops short of criticising the plan. But by far the nations with the most to gain are those in Africa, Asia and Oceania, who earn far less from football and would surely welcome the windfall.
And with their combined 111 members, they have all the power when it comes to votes.
If you take a look at the FIFA rankings, all 211...
Other top stories tonight include... Other top stories. Other stories tonight. Donald Trump says USA will hit Iran again as he calls drone strikes in Egypt. All of Europe could be on fire in days, the EU urges. Warnings. Serial killer gets whole life order as police before 4 more deaths. Christopher Walker set off who is Trump linked to also. FIFA opened this case against Argentina. Police about referendum about that, and finally this is quite the boy in his third person to die as a result of incident in Westmere on Wednesday, 22nd of July, would also claim for life a 41-year-old Shirley Muslim and 15-year-old daughter. Right, finally tonight on our programme, if you are a Spider-Man fan, Spider-Man fans will be getting a little preview as the latest installment of the Spider-Man film is set to hit theatres and cinemas today. Tom Holland, who plays Spider-Man, is starring in his 4th film alongside Sienna. It's ranked. Andrew Garfield also played Spider-Man 3 times in films across the franchise. Let's take a look at this.
Want to end your tiring days with a breathtaking, dreamy visual feast? Meet the 5D holographic projector that turns any ordinary space into a magical deep sea or a vast starry universe in just 1 second. But
Best known for his role in the musical film The Commitments and as the longtime frontman of the rock band The Frames, he died in the early hours of this morning after a motorcycle crash in Dublin. Now, all eyes are on the white carpet in London tonight for Hollywood's latest power couple, Tom Holland and Zendaya. The newlyweds are in the capital for the premiere of the latest instalment of the Spider-Man franchise, Spider-Man Brand New Day.
Sorry, but you're in danger. What? I promised you that I would keep you safe. Please, you just have to trust me. Come on.
Fine. Well, our entertainment reporter Rishi Dapter is there with all the stars in his natural habitat, of course. Rishi, any sign of them so far?
Yes, well, Tom Holland is just over my right shoulder having some photos taken, and Zendaya is up over the left having her photos taken on the other side. People use the word aura a lot, but let me tell you, Tom Holland and Zendaya have an abundance of A-list aura. They return as Peter Parker and MJ for this new film. Tom took on the role for the first time in 2017, following in the footsteps of Tobey Maguire and then Andrew Garfield. Now, I spoke to him a few minutes ago, began by asking what it was like filming on the streets of the UK.
Just means you have to imagine less, you know. Something that's so amazing about shooting in real places is you get all of the textures, all of the culture that the cities have to offer. And, you know, sometimes the last movie we made it in COVID, which meant we had to shoot the entire movie inside a soundstage. But to be able to get out and breathe air and shoot on real streets just gives a level of authenticity to the film that I think the fans really love and respond to.
Let me ask you, because I think Andrew did 2 as the lead actor in Spider-Man, Tobey did 3, you've now done 4.
Yes.
Will we see you slipping into the suit once more? Everyone wants to know. I mean, we're still waiting to see this one, but everyone's wanting to know.
You might have to wait and see and watch this one, and that might give you some answers.
What brings you the most joy about playing Spider-Man?
Moments like this, sharing these moments with the fans. You know, making a movie is a real labour of love. We've been working on this movie for nearly 3 years, and then you get to this amazing stage where you open the floodgates and you hand it over to the people and it becomes theirs. And You know, when you feel really confident about something and you're really excited and you think people are going to love it, it's an amazing feeling.
Well, Tom's first Spider-Man film made £650 million, the second £850 million, the third £1.5 billion. Let's see how the fourth does. Spider-Man may be all about spiders, but you won't be able to watch Brand New Day on the web. It's going to be in cinemas from today. Hello, Zendaya. How are you? Lovely to see you back to the studio.
Oh, Rishi, it's all about the timing, isn't it? Anyway, let's have a look at the weather now.
Hello there. Records continue to be broken this summer. In fact, on Wednesday in Writtle, Essex, we saw... Hello there. Records continue to be broken this summer. In fact, on Wednesday in Writtle, Essex, we saw a high of 35.2. So we have now had 7 days where temperatures have reached or exceeded 35 degrees. It was a different story, though. Further north and west, there was some cloud and some rain around, some of it persistent in West Lothian, and that weather front continues to sink its way south. It is weakening considerably. A band of cloud through Lincolnshire down towards the Bristol Channel, the odd light shower, but it's introducing fresher air behind it. Sunny spells, a few sharp showers, possibly even the odd rumble of thunder in Scotland. But look at the difference, 14 to 19 degrees here. We could see 27 or 28 in the southeast, but not the extreme heat and humidity of Wednesday. That weather front continues to clear away from the Kent coast during the early hours of Friday morning. This little weather front enhancing some showers to Scotland and Northern Ireland. Yet again, some of these could turn quite thundery into the afternoon. There will be a little bit more cloud into northern England, but generally speaking, again, dry with some sunny spells and a little bit more pleasant out there. We're looking at 60 to 25, the overall high. There is a potential for some showers for one or two of us on Sunday, but generally speaking, that slightly fresher air, but still a lot of dry weather is set to continue.
Right, Spider-Man fans, if you are going to watch Spider-Man film, have fun, because the new Spider-Man film called Spider-Man Brand New Day is in theatres and cinemas right now. You can get tickets in. Right, I'll be in a sec. It's time to hand you over to our team at BBC Looking Off. We're going to join Zolan Larky film on the programme. I'll be in a sec. Use more everything's footage. That's Rob Bush. We hear the interview that the police gave when they hit arrested and announcing more while driving across North Lincolnshire, Discover Pole and even Doncaster. We are going to join Hannah Davidson for the news in London, BBC London. Hannah and the programme, yes, more on driving impact. 7% of rainfall will have places in more news on weather. Our weather will be with Henry Wilson. That's it for me and the whole team. Take care, have a great evening, bye bye. That's it for me and the whole team. Have a great evening, take care, bye bye. See you later.